Hi, my name is Ajith Chandrasekhar, and I am here today to give my final project for Ancient Mythology, the honors section of the course. And the project that I chose to do was examples of ancient Greek and Roman mythology in modern day graphic designs, and specifically the logos of very big corporations. And some of these won't come as a surprise to you, but some of them I think are quite surprising, and I hope you are excited to learn, and I hope you get something out of this video. So the first thing that I was pondering before digging into the actual companies that use mythology as an inspiration for their logos is why? What is the reason behind so many companies taking elements of Greek mythology? And I think the biggest reason is that people are just in general very familiar with a lot of the mythological characters and a lot of the mythological stories. I think a lot of kids read a lot of books related to mythology whenever they're younger. And I think it's taught a lot in middle school, high school, college classrooms due to some of the writing being very important in uh, just in general. And I think another big reason is that a lot of the symbols that are associated with some of the gods are very like distinct, and you automatically associate it with something. Like, I think a lot of the companies know what those symbols are and what meanings they convey, and they also want to link it together with their own brand and their own product. And I believe mythology is a great way to incorporate it in a very like not in a subtle way, but in a way that doesn't seem over the top. And so now we'll actually be digging into the companies that uh, have examples of mythology in their logos. All right, so the first example that might not be a big surprise to you is the Starbucks logo. So the Starbucks logo is inspired by the sirens, and the sirens are gorgeous mythological creatures. They live in the sea. They have very charming and enchanting voices, and they love to lure sailors out to their deaths. And we see this in the metamorphoses whenever the Argonauts are traveling by sea, and then they end up having to. Orpheus ends up ending, or Orpheus ends up like countering them out, and his talents are greater than theirs. And the creators of Starbucks actually said that they used this logo because they wanted to represent the alluring and seductive nature of coffee. And I thought that was a great way to tie in, their actual brand with the logo that they're using. All right, so the next company I'll be going over is Versace, the very famous and expensive designer clothing brand. And so for their logo, they use Medusa, the woman with venomous snakes, as her hair. And if anyone looks at her, they turn to stone. And I think the meaning behind this is that like everyone in the books, everyone that falls in love with Medusa cannot run away from her, which is also what I think Versace as a brand is trying to convey. Like, if once you get a taste of Versace, you're never gonna go back. You're never gonna stop buying it. You're gonna be completely allured by it, and I think that's what they want to convey with that. And their logo like seduces authority and visual fascination. They have very their I believe their logo is very detailed, and I think it's a very good logo. It's not too overwhelming, and it's definitely sticks very closely to actual mythology. All right, so this is one of the logos that actually surprised me. I mean, I don't have too much prior knowledge about Greek mythology, so I didn't know that Nike was the winged goddess of victory. And Nike's logo is directly derived from that. As you can see on the screen, the swoosh is inspired by by Nike's wings, and they're meant to symbolize the sound of speed, movement, power, motivation, and victory. And these are all in line with Nike's brand of being on top, being the number one sportswear in the world. And it's also just a very catchy and memorable name. So I think it makes a lot of sense for Nike to tie in their brand with the Greek goddess. All right, so the next brand that we're going to look at is Dove, and Dove uses the dove as their symbol, and this is also the symbol of Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty and love. And I believe that Dove uses this symbol of the dove as to send a message to their audience that if by using this soap, you can look young, look beautiful like Aphrodite, and they can have smooth skin like her. And also, Dove is really big on pushing the campaign of like self-love for everyone, and they're targeted specifically towards women. And I think this also ties in nicely with Aphrodite. All right, so the next company that utilizes elements of Greek mythology is Goodyear. So in Goodyear's logo, you can see in the middle here, there is the winged foot of Mercury, as you can see on the right. And so in ancient mythology, Mercury was known as a very swift messenger of uh, good news, and he would always deliver his news in very quick fashion. So the founder of Goodyear actually proposed the idea to use uh, that as their logo to signify the speed at which Goodyear delivers their products, and also as like a carrier of good news. And they ran with that idea, and it's been a very successful idea today. Goodyear, they have a very success. They've had a lot of success with that logo. All right, our next company is going to be Pandora. And many different companies have their names based on Pandora. And the name in general just means all gifted. And the story of Pandora, whenever Pandora unbolted this box that she has in her hand on the right, uh, what flew out, like all the evils of the world flew out, and all that was left in the box was hope. And so a lot of the brands that use Pandora as their name are meant to signify optimism, faith, and hope. And I think their main message to their audience is that they're sending positivity and happiness towards them. All right, so the next brand we're going to be looking at is Saturn. So Saturn's logo actually doesn't have a direct link to Greek or Roman mythology, but the name of the brand does. So Saturn was in Roman mythology, he was an ancient god that was worshipped for his generosity, kindness, and also for his wealth. And some people say that during Saturn's reign, it was a mythological golden age, and this was a time of harmony, stability, peace, and agricultural abundance. And Saturn was also the father of Zeus. And so I believe that the Saturn, the brand, wants to be associated with all of those positive aspects of Saturn, and they want to carry on his association with wealth, dominance, and peace, and carry that with their products. All right, so Maserati is the last company that I'll be covering today. This one is actually my personal favorite because I think it has the most creative take their on Greek slash Roman mythology. And I think the way that they tie it back in with their own brand is in a way that seems very like calculated uh and very purposeful. That I think that's the right word. So Maserati is inspired by Neptune's trident. So as you see on the right, you have Neptune with this trident, and then on the left, the red is the part of the logo that's the trident. And this was actually suggested by a family friend of one of the Maserati brothers, and they ran with it ever since. And so there's multiple variations of their logo, but this one is the most popular one, and it's the one that I think has the deepest meaning. So this specific logo is called the Sayeta logo, and each color has a different meaning. So the red trident, it symbolizes the potent force of the Maserati vehicle itself, which delivers unparalleled highway performance all around the world. And the blue represents the sea, which is a direct call to Greek and Roman mythology, because it directly ties to Neptune, and it's the sea is his primary domain and primary source of strength. And lastly, the silver represents the land. So this is basically the space between the seas where Maserati vehicles dominate the roads. And I think this logo definitely had a lot of thought behind it. And I love how they're able to tie in Neptune with their own brand and make it and tie it in a way that makes sense. So I really enjoyed this logo. And that's the end of my presentation. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something new. Thank you so much.